6% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to...
An apparently peaceful traffic situation can turn into a nightmarish experience with the activities of the popular but ignoble criminals called One Chance. They are violent criminals who disguise as either commercial drivers or as passengers. The trick is to shout, one chance, giving the impression that the vehicle needs only one passenger to move. But jump in and you jump into a pile of miseries. Kabiru Adamu is a security consultant and confirms that this pattern of crime has taken an alarming dimension.
It is a common occurrence in most city centers. In Abuja, as an example, it's very difficult for you to go to any space where there are a couple of persons ranging from 3 up until 10 that you will not find at least 1 to 2 to 3 persons that have not been victims of One Chance, as long as the persons are using commercial vehicles.
So I entered a cab hailing Pape.
Chidinma is a young mother. She had a terrible and pathetic experience in the hands of the criminals. Chidinma was dropped by her sister right about here at around 8 o'clock in the evening. A Mazda car driven by a man and one other passenger at the back pulled over and hastily picked her. Destination, Mpape. But the journey was doomed because a set of horrible things started happening at the inception of the trip.
Immediately I entered. The passenger by my left, was behaving as if he was collecting his balance from the driver. So I felt comfortable. I guess they did that so that I wouldn't have to notice what was going to go on. So immediately after he collected that balance, the next thing he did was to stretch his hands towards my side, and here was on my neck, while here was trying to stop me from opening the door by my right. So as I tried to open the door by my right, they were shouting, you better cooperate. You know, go cooperate, but you won't die. You won't die this night. She said, go feel come out from this car. This is go feel come out. You know, go feel come out from this car. They were beating me. The first person that hit me was the man in front. So he punched me with, I don't know whether it was a ring on his finger or a rod. Mainly he punched me. That was when here, the blood started oozing from here. So I was in the pool drinking my blood. Then they now told me, lie down. Okay, lie down. No, go lie down, ba. So I was struggling. They've collected my stuffs. They've collected my bags at that time. I didn't have my bag with me. So they were telling me, no, go lie down, ba. So I thought they wanted to rape me as they were telling me to lie down on the floor of the car. So as I tried to lie down on that floor, the one by my side too now slapped me, and he tried to strangle me too. That was where this marks came out from. So he was strangling me and telling me, no, you go die this night. Maybe you don't want to cooperate. You go die this night. You go die this night.
Chidinma was lucky to escape alive because she did not fit the correct profile of the perfect victim the criminals were searching for their sinister intentions.
By the time they were done beating me, it wasn't like, madam, you know what you go do now? You go cut your breast. I said, okay, sir. He now said, do you have kids? I said, yes, I have kids. He just kept quiet. The next thing I saw was that he told me, okay, oh yeah, get up.
Alone in the night.
This young lady was also lucky because she survived and agreed to share her experience with us.
I've been attacked in this beggar before. I was hit from behind. My phones and everything were collected. And it took me years to be able to stand in beggar and get a car and pick up a cab.
In a daring display of impunity, most of the criminals move around with POS machines for ease of stealing money out of the bank accounts of their victims. Security experts explain that this is very possible, especially with the emergence of new financial outfits who ignore the vigorous security check on customers before opening customer accounts.
A lot of the instances that we've monitored, they actually use the financial systems. Now, the reason for this is commonplace. Number one, we do not have a national database for individuals, Nigerians actually. And more importantly, even the banking system has not put in place infrastructure to reduce the possibility of this from happening. And then secondly, where it happens, to trace the perpetrators, arrest them, and then prevent further crime.
Abuja is Nigeria's seat of government. It is also a bubbling cosmopolitan city that attracts people from every part of Nigeria and even abroad who come mostly in search of economic opportunities. But like many emerging cities facing the challenges of growth, crime has become a major issue. The June 2023 edition of Nigeria Security Report for Beacon Intel, a security consulting firm, shows an increase in crime in not just Abuja but other major Nigerian cities. The FCT Police Command says it is doing its best to fight crime in the territory in order to protect the security and welfare of citizens.
We have created a tactical squad called Anti-One Chance, which they have been charged with the responsibility of these one chance activities to wipe away, in conjunction with the DPOs as well. The DPOs are doing on the divisional level, and this squad that I mentioned, Anti-One Chance, has been deployed also to each division.
The FCT Police Public Relations Officer says the police needs the cooperation of the victims and other citizens in order to tackle this despicable crime called one chance.
Sometimes these modus, they change their modus, though we've identified the modus they are using. But when they know we identify them, they also change their modus. So when if you find yourself as a victim, it's only wise and advisable that you report these incidences to the security agencies.
I actually did not believe that they could do anything about it. That was why I didn't report to them.
Our law enforcement agents that do not see this crime as a major crime. We've been in instances where we've monitored this development on behalf of our clients. We will report the cases by providing the telephone numbers that were used in the crime, the account numbers that were used in the crime. The response you get from the law enforcement is that they have bigger challenges. And this is the effort they will use in stopping this is not what the benefit.
Victims survive and injuries are treated, but the emotional scar takes a very long time to heal.
It took me months, or if not years, to actually recover. And psychologically, everything around me now, even if I enter a cab now, I will start to be conscious of where I am because of everybody around me is a suspect.
The one that was repeatedly beating me, I didn't see the one in the front, his face, but the one at the back, I kind of saw his face. So when I see someone that looks like that person, I'll be like, are you sure it's not this man that beat me that night?
Kabiru Adamu says commuters should avoid flagging vehicles along the road. Instead, approved and designated motor parks should be used. Anjum Abdullahi.
Well, thank you for staying with us here on Global Morning. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe, live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, and this is Global Television. By the way, we wanted to start off the show this morning with that special report put together by our partner, reporter there, Abdullahi Danjuma, this morning, just to give you an insight into the evolution, if you like, of this crime, this sort of phenomenon, as nasty as it is, called one chance, and how that it has done so much of damage to families, to individuals, to businesses. Here at Global Television, we are very persuaded that we have, as part of our corporate social responsibility, to continue to draw awareness to these kind of very nasty developments. One, to sensitize members of the public, and two, to continue to hold security agencies accountable, as well as to make their jobs easier. Then, of course, we're also doing that just to make society a better place beyond the Federal Capital Territory, because we understand that this sort of crime is not exclusive or particular to the FCT. We've heard about it from cities across this nation. Ultimately, what we're pursuing is to ensure that we cut it to its barest, better still, eradicate it altogether. But we need the support of everyone, members of the public, security agencies, of course, the law enforcement, and media outlets like ours to be able to do that. Okay, it's a great day, no doubt about that. Second business day, if you like, weekday. And then we understand that the meeting that had been called between the federal government and the leadership of the organized labor yesterday did hold. However, one thing didn't happen. The meeting again was deadlocked. That just is a pointer to many of the several instances of deadlocked meetings that Labour and the federal government have had over time. While we understand that the president is not in the country at the moment, he's busy attending the 78th edition of the UN General Assembly in New York. But then we have the Minister of Labour back at home who interfaces with the organized labor on behalf of the federal government. What are some of the reasons that we keep having these sort of deadlocked meetings between the federal government delegation and representatives of the organized labor? And what does that mean ultimately for the Nigerian economy, for the socio-economic states of our nation? It's very important we get to understand all of that. But one element is very, very predominant in this conversation, which is the removal of fuel subsidy. On the screen now, you're seeing a picture there with the Minister of Labor, who doubles as immediate past governor of Plateau State, Mr. Simon Lalong there. And then just to his left, amongst the labor leaders, you see Comrade Joe Ajero, the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress. So you have there representatives of the federal government and the organized labor. But again, that's a picture from yesterday's meeting that is said to have been deadlocked. So we're taking a quick break, everyone. When we return, we'll look at the papers for you. Let's begin with the Punch newspaper for you now. Front page of it, top of the the nameplate, that is, of the Punch newspaper. Nigeria servicing 108 World Bank loans worth $14 billion. That is different loans, or if you like, separate loans. All of them totaling 108 World Bank loans. Standing at $14 billion. That's according to some reports, but for details, you find those on page 19 of today's Punch newspaper. No easy solution to Nigeria's economic problems, says United States. That's on page 13. Oil companies, agencies, OFG, $9.85 billion revenue. That's Nati. Why are they not paying up? What are the obstacles? Are there challenges becoming impediments in terms of having these remittances done? Those are some questions that would naturally agitate the minds of Nigerians. Over the years, we've seen all of these issues back and forth around the finances. Some people will say the books of the NNPC and all of the allied agencies within the oil and gas sector. But then all Nigerians are asking for transparency, accountability, and sincerity of purpose. I mean, come to think of it, for a country that largely depends on oil, all right, you can imagine how much of focus, how much of attention being attracted by revenues from oil. Some persons even would argue that the reasons, or one of the major reasons you see everybody is jumping into the fray in terms of politics, is all motivated by the oil money. Because you're also wondering, if we didn't have so much of money coming from oil, would we have so many people becoming interested in running for political offices? I suppose that's a conversation for another day altogether. But for today, let's see more headlines for you from the Punch newspaper. FG NLC meeting deadlocked, workers insist on demands. Government workers must agree on concrete resolutions within remaining days of ultimatum. That's NLC. A minister appeals to labor unions to embrace dialogue, shun strike as deadline ends Friday. So we are 3 days away from deadline, right? So we hope that both parties maximize this window to be able to address or resolve these debacle in good time. And then when you look at the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning, you will see pictures there of the demolition that happened in the FCT yesterday around Area 1 markets. So many, so much of shops taken down. Those shops actually, we are told, were some shanties. Those shops that some persons will call attachments. We understand from what the government is saying, the authorities are saying, that those shops were not approved. So it was a matter of time. Like they say, it was more about when, not if. And yesterday happened to be when. Drama as Obaseki locks out embattled deputy from Government House. We saw that picture flying around the internet yesterday. Comrade Philip Shaibu locked out of the Government House. Again, it's just an obvious indication that the rift between the deputy and his principal has obviously not been resolved. While we understand that the deputy had withdrawn the case he had instituted against the governor, but then it will appear that this has not been resolved within the family. You know, politicians would always tell you these are family issues, but yesterday, with the picture we saw, the deputy governor locked out. Obviously, the family has either not called the meeting, or the meeting also was deadlocked. But let's not forget that Edo State has election coming up next year. That's Edo 2024 gubernatorial election. And basically, Philip Shaibu, the present deputy governor, has an ambition to stand for election next year for governor. And then just today, we understand that the governor, the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, has also introduced his successor. All right, so the leaders of his party, that is the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, and that person from the news coming out now is Mr. Aswe Igodalo, a man from Edo Central. Okay, remember, that's the basis, that's the crux of these debates about who succeeds Governor Obaseki. As has become the tradition since 1999, or if you like, since 2003, governors wield enormous influence in determining who succeeds them, at least within the framework of their own parties. After all, politicians say, or we largely even believe in Nigeria, that the governors at the state level are the leaders of their party, just the same way the president at the federal level or at the national level is the leader of the party as well. So in Edo State now, let's quickly create a context, is such that Philip Shaibu, the current deputy governor, is from Edo North. That's the same place that the former governor, Adams Oshomole, and also former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, the ruling party at the federal level, is from. Now, Oshomole from Edo North preceded Governor Obaseki from Edo South. So the argument, by and large, is for the sake of fairness, equity, and justice, the next governor has got to come from Edo Central, having had Edo North and then, of course, Edo South. Asma Godalo, the person who understands that the governor Obaseki has tapped to succeed him, incidentally, is from Edo Central. So ordinarily, everybody would say, well, that's good. After all, there's a form of balance for the state. However, the challenge with that is we also now understand that there's a block from Edo Central now saying that, yes, the governor may have chosen or tapped our son from Edo Central to succeed him. That isn't our favorite. That isn't our anointed candidates to go represent us as governor come 2024. Meanwhile, there are those also saying, including the current deputy governor, that it shouldn't be about senatorial districts or zoning. It shouldn't be about Edo South, Edo North, or Edo Central. It should be about everybody going to the field and testing their popularity, level playing field, and so on and so forth. Again, that is an angle to the conversation. One of the problems Nigerians have with politicians is when it has to do with their interests, they argue using their political of the Nigerian